Welcome back, warrior. I'm looking like a mad scientist today, so that's awesome. Um, okay, yeah, because we have this crazy hair going. Anyway, we have like the baby hairs growing back, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we're reading Doctrine and Covenants, section 115 today. Let me put my weights on here. No, this is not an ad for Flutter, but it could be. Okay, revelation given through Joseph Smith the prophet at Far West, Missouri, April 26, 1838, making known the will of God concerning the building up of that place and of the Lord's house. This revelation is addressed to the presiding officers and the members of the church. Okay, so a little bit of preface here for this one. Looks like we have a little bit of a timeline. So in January 1838, Emma and Joseph had 3 young children, and Emma was pregnant with their 4th child. At this time, the apostasy in Kirtland was growing increasingly dangerous, and the Lord gave the following commandment. Note, this commandment is not in the Doctrine and Covenants. Oh, okay. But we're going to read it anyway. It says, revelation given January 12th, 1838. See the journal, March to September 1838, Joseph Smith Papers. Okay, so it says, thus saith the Lord, let the presidency of my church take their families as soon as it is practicable and a door is open for them, and move on to the west as fast as the way is made plain before their faces, and let their hearts be comforted, for I will be with them. Verily I say unto you, the time has come that your labors are finished in this place for a season. Therefore arise and get yourselves into a land which I shall show unto you. Let all your faithful friends arise with their families also, and get out of this place and gather themselves together unto Zion. Okay, so this commandment was for the presidency, their families, and all their faithful friends. So this was a commandment to all the saints who had remained faithful to move out of Kirtland, but to go to Missouri, where the saints were also being persecuted. So it seems a little bit crazy, right? Imagine how difficult this must have been to leave their friends, homes, farms, and businesses. And for many, this would not be the first time they left the temple, a temple they built with their own hands. And they went to where there was also more persecution and uncertainty. So this would seem kind of interesting, right? So Joseph arrived in Far West on March 14th, 1836, and more than 1,600 Kirtland saints will also move there. Ooh, could you imagine that kind of move? The saints already living in Far West had created a community with homes, stores, hotels, etc. Yet there was still no temple. A temple was discussed for Far West shortly after the temple in Kirtland was dedicated. But what was the Lord's plan for the temple in Missouri? Upon inquiring of the Lord regarding this topic, Joseph received section 115. Okay, so here it goes. We have about 19 verses. It says, verily thus saith the Lord unto my servant Joseph Smith Jr., and also my servant Sidney Rigdon, and also my servant Hiram Smith, and your counselors who are and shall be appointed hereafter. And also unto you my servant Edward Partridge and his counselors, and also unto my faithful servants who are of the high council of my church in Zion. For thus it shall be called, and unto all the elders and people of my church, of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, scattered abroad in all the world. For thus shall my church be called in the last days, even the church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I love that. Okay. And then verse 5, verily I say unto you, all arise and shine forth, that thy light may be a standard for the nations, and that the gathering together upon the land of Zion and upon her stakes may be for a defense and for a refuge from the storm and from wrath, when it shall be poured out without mixture upon the whole earth. Okay. I remember when the youth theme was arise and come forth, or arise and shine forth. What is it? Great. Now I can't remember. Arise and shine forth. Yeah. Okay, verse 7. Let the city far west be a holy and consecrated land unto me, and it shall be called most holy, for the ground upon which thou standest is holy. Therefore I command you to build a house unto me for the gathering together of my saints, that they may worship me. And let there be a beginning of this work, and a foundation and preparatory work this following summer. And let the beginning be made on the 4th day of July next. And from that time forth, let my people labor diligently to build a house unto my name. And in 1 year from this day, let them recompense laying the foundation of my house. Thus let them from that time forth labor diligently until it shall be finished from the cornerstone thereof unto the top thereof, until there shall not anything remain that is not finished. Verily I say unto you, let not my servant Joseph, neither my servant Sidney, neither my servant Hiram get in debt any more for the building of a house unto my name. But let a house be built unto my name according to the pattern which I will show unto them. And if my people build it not according to the pattern which I shall show unto their presidency, I will not accept it at their hands. But if my people do build it according to the pattern which I shall show unto their presidency, even my servant Joseph and his counselors, then I will accept it at the hands of my people. And again, verily I say unto you, it is my will that the city of far west should be built up speedily by the gathering of my saints. And also that other places should be appointed for the stakes in the regions round about, as they shall be manifested unto my servant Joseph from time to time. For behold, I will be with him, and I will sanctify him before the people, for unto him have I given the keys of this kingdom and ministry. Even so, amen. Okay, so this is good stuff. Building the temple. So the saints, this is what the saints did. They gathered on July 4th and began the preparatory work. The saints laid cornerstones and began gathering supplies. However, the temple was never built because they were, again, forced out of Far West. The cornerstones of Far West Temple are still visible today and stand as a testament of what Brigham Young said. We never began to build a temple without the bells of hell beginning to ring. End quote. President Boyd K. Packard, the temple, the priesthood, April 1993 General Conference. Okay, so that is sad, right? A couple things that stood out to me while we were reading is the fact that Satan is always going to try and thwart, confuse, stop, postpone any kind of thing that we want to do that's good. But most of all, anything that has to do with the temple, because he knows how much power flows from it. And I love this quote from President Oaks. And he said that it is, what did he say? It's easier to build the temple than to fill the temple. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And I think, kind of as I've been thinking about a lot of the temple things and talking with my husband, we are thinking, it's like, we think President Nelson's going to have, or President Oaks is going, so President Nelson built like a ton of temples, right? And it started way back. But now I think President Oaks might have the, you know how like every prophet has like a thing, and it's like President Nelson had like tons of temples built. And I guess they have multiple things, but that's like one thing that he did. Anyway, so President Oaks, we think he's going to help elevate the saints or help us understand the covenants and the importance of attending the temple and the power that flows to us from the Lord in his house, and that's going to help fill the temple. So I think that's what President Oaks is going to be trying to focus on, is like, we have plenty of temples now, and now let's try and fill the temples, right? And there was like somebody else that said it's harder to, it's easier to prepare to build a temple than it is to prepare people for the temple. So, and why? Because we're human and we sin and we fall and we try again, and there's a big cycle, you know. Anyways, I thought that was cool. Okay, we're going to read Doctrine and Covenants section 16 also because it's very short. And I thought, you know, it's worth it. Okay, so as saints continued to move to the area, the brethren went north into Daviess County to survey the land. Far west was in Caldwell County, and Daviess County was the county to the north. Lyman White, a future member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, he will be ordained in Nauvoo, settled on some land in Daviess County. His place was by the Grand River at a place called Spring Hill. Joseph and other leaders went to Lyman's land and received this revelation of Doctrine and Covenants 116, revealing the location of Adam-on-Diamond. Okay, so this is kind of like some history of the church here and explains this. Friday, May 18th, I left Far West in company with Sidney Rigdon, Thomas B. Marsh, David W. Patton, Bishop Partridge, Elias Higbee, Simeon Carter, Allenson Ripley, and many others for the purpose of visiting the North Country and laying off a stake of Zion. Saturday the 19th, this morning, we struck our tents and formed a line of march crossing Grand River at the mouth of Honey Creek and Nelson Ferry. Grand River is a large, beautiful, deep, and rapid stream during the high waters of spring and will undoubtedly admit of navigation by steamboat and other watercraft. At the mouth of Honey Creek is a good landing. We pursued our course up the river, mostly through timber, for about 18 miles when we arrived at Colonel Lyman White's home. In the afternoon, I went up the river about half a mile, which the brethren called Spring Hill. But by the mouth of the Lord, it was named Adam-on-Diamond, because, said he, it is the place where Adam shall come to visit his people, or the Ancient of Days shall sit, as spoken of by Daniel the prophet, end quote. Okay, so this is found in Joseph Smith History Joseph Smith History of the Church, okay, volume 3. So Adam-on-Diamond says this: it is a location in Daviess County, which is the county north of Caldwell County. Caldwell County was where Far West was. It was originally called Spring Hill. 1,500 saints settled here before being driven out of Missouri. Adam-on-Diamond was where Adam blessed his posterity. This is where Adam will yet come to visit his people. Orson Pratt said that Adam-on-Diamond means Valley of God, where Adam dwelt, in the original language spoken by Adam. How cool is that, right? Wilford Woodruff explained that Brigham Young had said, Joseph the prophet told me that the Garden of Eden was in Jackson County, Missouri. When Adam was driven out, he went to the place we now call Adam-on-Diamond, Daviess County, Missouri. There he built an altar and offered sacrifices. The church currently owns this land. Ooh, how cool is that? Okay, so this is the little synopsis, the chapter heading. It says, revelation given through Joseph Smith the prophet near White's Ferry at a place called Spring Hill, Daviess County, Missouri, May 19th, 1838. Says, verse 1, which is the only verse in this section, says, Spring Hill is named by the Lord Adam-on-Diamond, because said he, it is the place where Adam shall come to visit his people, or the ancient days shall sit, as spoken of by Daniel the prophet. Okay. So we have several quotes from different prophets about this. I wanted to read the one from Elder Bruce R. McConkie. He says, he, Christ, will come in private to his prophet and to the apostles then living. Those who have held keys and powers and authorities in all ages from Adam to the present will also be present. And further, all the faithful members of the church then living and all the faithful saints of all the ages past will be present. It will be the greatest congregation of faithful saints ever assembled on the planet Earth. It will be a sacrament meeting. It will be a day of judgment for the faithful of all ages, and it will take place in Daviess County, Missouri, at a place called Adam-on-Diamond. End quote. Elder Bruce R. McConkie, The Millennial Messiah, page 578 and 79. Okay, so what have you learned about Adam-on-Diamond? So that's like a thought question, you know. And what stood out to you from those quotes? So from the quotes we read. So things that stood out to me is clearly I need to move, right? Like, doesn't that make you feel like you need to go move to Missouri, like right away? And so, but I know that that's not necessarily what the Lord is trying to tell everybody here. And then stuff that stood out from the quotes is that it's going to be a glorious day, like it's just going to be glorious. And we're just excited for that day to happen, right? Okay. And now we have section 117, but I think section 117 is a little bit longer, so I'm going to separate that by stopping this recording. So we're going to read the Read It, Live It for the two sections, 115 and 116. Okay, I'm really liking these. Here's one. Okay, it says, ooh, it's just kind of dark. I should have turned on the light sooner. Okay, each of us is meant to shine, to show the world the glory of God and the good he has done in our stories. Your witness is not meant to be hidden under a bushel. Shine. Ooh, that is so powerful. I love that. Okay, loving that so much. Okay, I love the way it said that the good he has done in your stories. And you know how important it is to share stories of our conversions, stories of when the Lord's hand has been shown in our lives, but specifically stories that strengthen our testimony and help us remember that Jesus Christ has helped us in our lives. And so I love that. So yes, we need to shine. Then there's another one from section 115. It says, every good work has a beginning, a foundation and preparation that are laid for the amazing things to follow. Who can imagine the wonderful things that you will do and build in your lifetime? Begin. Oh, you know that I love this. Oh, these are some good ones. Okay. These are some good ones. I'm going to highlight these somehow. I'm going to we're going to put the little corner tab. If you're like a corner folder, you know that this is awesome. If you're not a corner folder and you're like, don't ruin the paper, then I'm sorry. Because I don't know how else I'm going to remember it. You have my phone right there. So I can't take a picture of it right away. Okay. And then section 116, obviously there's only one verse, but it's a good one. So then this is how the Read It, Live It is helping us. It says, in a coming day, the Lord will return to the earth, and many of the righteous will be gathered to welcome him home. What a thrill it would be to be among that number. Be numbered. Yes, I always worry about that. I'm like, where am I going to be when this happens? Am I going to be like busy, like distracted, like on my computer, or am I going to be like yelling at my kids, or am I going to be just like taking a nap, or am I totally just going to miss it just because I'm so like, just crazy? Or am I totally going to be there, And I'm like, maybe I just do need to, like, maybe the Lord does need to come after I die, because then it's like guaranteed that I'm going to totally be there. Right? Because in the spirit, I'm going to be more like alert and my body's not going to slow me down. But at the same time, I know that our bodies are instruments to help us accomplish the things that we have desired to accomplish even before we were born. So it's like, anyway, it's like it slows me down, but it also speeds me up. I don't know. I know it's like what's that verse? It says like that on earth we are preparing to meet God or something like that. Anyway, I butchered that scripture. So don't look it up like that. I'll have to figure out where it is. Anyway. All right. Until Doctrine and Covenants section 117, stay strong, warrior.